So guys, this right here, this was the captain's house.
He was in charge of the barracks. Remember, there were soldiers living here, 100 soldiers.
Yeah.
So the captain's house initially had a roof, but by 1961 museum was commissioned, the roof had collapsed. Here were the wardrobes of the captain. You can see the two structures on the wall, the wardrobes. There are the two closets for oil lamp because there was no electricity. I repeat, there was a roof out of coconut palm leaf. There were doors, there were windows. But by 1961, museum was commissioned. All that I mentioned had collapsed. And for a museum, you can't put new additions. That's why it is roofless, doorless. All the structures had collapsed by 1960.
These were the urinals right here. The urinals there.
Yeah, for urinating.
Yeah. So this is another passage.
It is referred to as a passage of the steps. It derives the name from the actual steps. You can see those are steps, eh? Like the passage of the arches. Remember the shapes of the arches, yeah?
Yeah.
That was an outlet to the sea to bring in food and medicine. You see how well organized they were. Food and medicine, separate gates. Slaves, ivory, and weapons, the other gate. But since the British had used this fort as a prison, they permanently blocked that passage because for a prison, it's not ideal to have any exits. Yeah. We refer to it as the passage of the steps. It derives the name from the actual steps. This is the second passage, I repeat. Remember, we're at the passage of the arches for ivory, slaves, and weapons. This for food and medicine. Both passages have been blocked because the British were the last year and they'd used this fort as a prison. For a prison, it's not ideal to have any exits.
All right. This is the kitchen where they used to cook their food.
So here, welcome to the kitchen. You can see the chimney. You put firewood, pot, and then smoke through the chimney. Oh. This kitchen was used for cooking food for 100 soldiers. I repeat, the initial number of soldiers based here by the Portuguese was 100.
So they'll put their, after cooking the food there, they'll put their pots. So they'll be serving here.
Here, then they take to the dining mess. This is it. This door was given as a gift by the Sultan of Zanzibar to the Sultan of Oman. It was initially on a mosque called Bait El Ajaib in Zanzibar. The door leads to nowhere. It has just been put here for display. The door is over 300 years. I'll give an explanation regarding the carvings. You have seen the 5 pillars of Islam engraved on the door. The chain shows you strong unity and bond among Muslims. The flower for peace and love. For peace. And this is for love. So normally, Muslim women, when they paint the henna, they do this one of love. This to show love, yeah. I repeat, this door has just been put here for display. It's leading to nowhere. It was initially on a mosque in Zanzibar. And then the Sultan of Zanzibar gave to the Sultan of Oman. So the Sultan of Oman put it here for display. It's made out of mahogany, old door.
So this is the museum?
Yeah. We are at the museum, and this is the Kenyan coast. Kenya-Tanzania border, Kenya-Somalia border. This shows you all historical sites on the Kenyan coast. So luckily today you are out for Jesus. Maybe next time you go to Wasini to see dolphins. It's very famous for dolphin sightseeing. Wasini, near Tanzania border. Go all the way to Vasco da Gama Pillar. Vasco da Gama, the famous voyager, he never settled in Mombasa. When he arrived here, he was chased by the Sultan of Mombasa in 1498. So he sailed to Malindi, and when he arrived in Malindi, he gave an account of what had happened here. And the Sultan of Malindi welcomed him with both arms. Because Mombasa and Malindi were two rival city-states, and that's why he put up his pillar there. In fact, I reiterate this, Vasco da Gama was never involved with this fort. This fort was built by other Portuguese, Francisco Albuquerque, João Cairato Batista, and Max Rodriguez. These were the people who were involved in the construction of this fort. That was almost a century later, 1593. Vasco da Gama passed here 1498, so he was never involved. Most people come here with that false belief that he was involved. Never. The pillars I showed you are not Vasco da Gama pillars. Those are English Point pillars, and that's why that area of Nyali is called English Point. Okay. These artifacts are over 1,000 years old. They are from the 9th to 10th century. These were gifts that were given by residents of Mombasa Old Town to help commission the museum in 1960. Now the first one is from Persia, modern-day Iran, Egypt. In fact, Egypt has been noted as the first civilization in the Bible, also from history. The pyramids in Giza, the irrigation scheme of Pharaoh, and in the Quran is noted that China, if you want to go to get the best education, go to the Faiz. Faiz is in China. What I'm driving at is that all ancient civilizations had interactions with the residents of Mombasa. And how did they know the ages of these artifacts? They conducted what we call carbon dating tests. They had measured the level of carbon present in these artifacts. Yeah. So there's enough proof that there was life in Mombasa 1,000 years ago from these artifacts. Elvis.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of history.
Okay.
Now, these are cowrie shells. These were used as mode of exchange for goods, yeah, like exchanging goods. Yeah? These were used as money, currency of those days. There is a famous sultan called Mensa Musa. He was a sultan in Mali. Mali is ancient civilization in Africa. We have Asante Kotoko, Songhai Empire. These were big empires in Africa. And in the 13th, 14th century, Mensa Musa decided to convert into Islam so that he could gain acceptance from the Muslim world. Because the Muslim world was the contact between Africa and Europe. And he introduced cowrie shells as mode of transfer of goods. You understand?
So this one was used as
money.
This
one would fetch the highest value because it's very rare to find. The rare ones had the highest value. Like this would be 1,000, this would be 50 because easier to find. This may be 500, this may be 200. You get what I'm saying? The rare ones fetch the highest value. You got my point?
Yeah.
The history of Mensa Musa. This was introduced by Mensa Musa, Sultan Mensa Musa of Mali.
So like I've noticed like these artifacts in this museum, they almost look like Chinese. They almost look like Chinese artifacts. You know, can you tell me more about that?
Well, China had contact with Africa with Mombasa since over 1,000 years ago. In fact, half of the artifacts within the museum gallery are from China. You can see practically they are Chinese in origin, and these are things that were given by residents of Mombasa to the museum in 1960 to help commission it. So China had contact with Mombasa since 1,000 years ago. As enough proof as what you can see, half of the artifacts here are of Chinese origin. Yeah. And all see these here. This is the first category of artifacts. These artifacts were found from a sunken ship. You remember where we went, where the last Portuguese soldier committed suicide? Okay. He decided to kill himself because their help was never arriving. The Arabs had sunk that ship. Okay. That ship was coming from Mozambique by the name Santo Antonio de Tana. In Santo Antonio de Tana, there were soldiers, food, weapons, and medicine. But that help never arrived. It aborted. September 1697, that ship was sunken by the Arabs. And then the rest of the Portuguese starved to death because the food supplies never arrived. 1970 there was a diving expedition, that is the diving illustrated, and these are the retrieved artifacts by the divers.
So who is this man in this picture?
This is Henry the Navigator. He was the financier of the Vasco da Gama voyages. He gave Vasco da Gama funds to find the sea route to India because before they were passing through Turkey and they were normally charged a lot of taxes. Going by sea involved paying no taxes. So that's how the Portuguese found Cape Verde, Sao Tome, Angola, Mozambique, Mombasa, Malindi. So he became a legend in Europe because the first guy to commission a navigational school in Europe was Henry the Navigator.